Magazines are known for asking provocative questions on their covers in hopes of attracting new readers. Next Generation was no exception, often asking pointed questions intended to get people talking. Now that so much time has passed, Next Generation's leading questions are easy to answer. So let's do that! Here are the 25 biggest questions found on the cover of Next Generation magazine, along with the answers. Does PlayStation live up to the hype? Simple answer, yes. There was a lot of hype leading up to the PlayStation's launch, which may explain why some openly questioned whether it could actually live up to the hype. The truth is, it could and it did. With amazing launch games, including Twisted Metal, Destruction Derby, Warhawk, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer, and so on, it was clear that the PlayStation was set to deliver. Can 3DO keep up? No. Even before the PlayStation and Sega Saturn had been announced, the 3DO was dead in the water. You can blame its failure on the high price tag and advertisements that focused more on the educational software than video game fun. Sega Saturn, a game machine to drool over? Only if you've never seen the PlayStation. Look, I love the Sega Saturn, but the truth is that it was constantly being one-upped by both Sony and Nintendo. Were there drool-worthy games? No question about it. But the system itself? Sadly, no. Madden's back. Can the 16-bit classic repeat in the 32-bit age? Yes, and so. Madden got off to a rocky start on the 32-bit consoles. In fact, his very first 32-bit entry, Madden 96, was cancelled. But EA Sports came back bigger and stronger the next year, proving that Madden still had some fight left in him. From there, Madden would continue to dominate the football arena until eventually it became the only game in town. Literally. Is Microsoft planning to take over the game industry? Yes, but it'll be another half dozen years before they decide to throw their hat in the ring. Are you connected? Yes I am, and if you're watching this on YouTube right now, then so are you. Thanks for asking. Which video game system is the best? Of the three listed, I would say the PlayStation. However, all of the consoles had great titles that are still worth playing today. So this question really boils down to personal preference. Why are old games so much fun? Because they're often simple, especially when compared to today's games. Also, because they remind you of your childhood. Blasto, the most impressive 32-bit title yet? Hell no! The critics panned the Phil Hartman-led action game at the time, and these days Sony refuses to talk about Blasto. Has the PC finally won the war? I guess that depends on what they're fighting over. There are certainly great examples of PC games, but even today it's the console market leading the charge. Metal Gear Solid, the last great PlayStation game? Metal Gear Solid is great, but it wasn't the last great PlayStation game. It came out in 1998, only 3 years after Sony launched their 32-bitter. The PlayStation still had a lot of great games left, including Gran Turismo 2, Chrono Cross, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, 2, and 3, Vagrant Story, Ape Escape, Resident Evil 3, and many, many more. Will Tekken 4 be on the PlayStation? It will not. Tekken 4 will be saved for the PlayStation 2, along with Tekken 5 and Tekken Tag Tournament. Tomb Raider 3. Are we still in love? We so aren't. By the time Tomb Raider 3 hit store shelves, we had kind of had enough of Ms. Croft's acrobatic stunts and cartoonish breasts. We did eventually fall back in love, though, thanks to a recent reboot. PlayStation 2 versus Dreamcast. Is the next console war already over? Unfortunately for Sega, it is. Due to poor worldwide sales and a lack of funds, Sega's hopes of winning the next console war were slim to none. It also didn't help that there were 2 more high-profile consoles just waiting in the wings. Soul Calibur. Is this the game that will make you buy a Dreamcast? Yes, but it was only one of the great games released on Sega's final console. The Dreamcast launch also included Power Stone, NFL 2K, House of the Dead, Ready to Rumble Boxing, Hydro Thunder, and Sonic Adventure, all of which were big draws at the time. Will Sega's Shenmue make you forget about the PlayStation 2? Yes, but only because of the PlayStation 2's boring launch lineup. And while Shenmue may be a well-regarded game, it's certainly not for everybody. Nintendo 64. Is it dead? Yes, by 2000 the writing was on the wall, and even Nintendo knew it. While popular, the N64 failed to drum up the excitement Nintendo had hoped for. There were still games coming out, but everybody, including Nintendo, was ready to move on to the next phase of their life. Onimusha, can Capcom's Samurai save the US launch? No, it didn't even make launch. It's hard to believe that the PlayStation 2 needed saving, but SSX was pretty much the only must-own game at launch. Onimusha ended up coming out 6 months later, well after the launch window. Nintendo's GameCube. Can Zelda, Metroid, and Star Wars put the company back on top? Yes, but not with the GameCube. While all of these titles hit the GameCube, it wasn't until the Wii that Nintendo finally had another huge hit on their hands. And even then, Zelda, Metroid, and Star Wars didn't have as much to do with the Wii's success as the pack-in game, Wii Sports. Xbox, big in Japan? No. The Xbox was one of the least successful systems in Japan, often selling no more than 20 or 30 consoles in a week. Microsoft was fighting a losing battle. Sega shocker, is this the end of the Dreamcast? Indeed it is. It's also the end of Sega as a first-party console maker. Halo, can Bungie's War Machine lead Xbox to victory? No, it can't. If the question was whether or not Halo would be a great game that would sell millions of units, then there's no way I would be able to argue with that. But that wasn't the question. Instead, they asked if Halo would be able to lead Microsoft's console to victory. Halo certainly helped the struggling system early on. It was one of the top-selling games for well over a year. But the Xbox never won that generation's console war. Jak and Daxter, are these PS2's next superstars? Yes, they are. Along with Ratchet, Sly Cooper, and Clank, Jak and Daxter were the new PlayStation celebrities. But not for long. There hasn't been a new Jak and Daxter game in years. Dead or Alive, is this the game that will make you buy an Xbox? No. When Next Generation asked this question in relation to Soul Calibur, it was an easy yes answer. However, I've played Soul Calibur, and I consider myself quite good at Soul Calibur. And let me tell you, Dead or Alive 3 is no Soul Calibur. Maximo, the best game of 2002? Not even close. As much as I love Maximo, and all things Ghosts and Goblins related for that matter, this Capcom action game was definitely not Game of the Year material. Maximo was quickly passed over by the release of Kingdom Hearts, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Virtua Fighter 4, Rez, Metroid Prime, and Splinter Cell. Disagree with any of these answers? Well, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow with more gaming history and fun, so don't forget to support what we're doing here and subscribe to the channel. And for more articles and reviews, please check out our website over at defunctgames.com.